Let's turn this boring image into a very eye-catching motion graphics. We're gonna be covering many tools inside After Effects, so stick till the end of the video so that you don't miss anything. Let's get started. All right, let's drag in the stock image first. I'm gonna scale this down to fit the comp size. Let's make this a 3D layer. By the way, you can download the assets from the link below, and also if you want the project file, it's available on my Patreon. Become a paid Patreon member, and that's also the way you can support what I do. I would really appreciate that. All right, create some depth by creating some shadows. So let's create a new solid, a black solid, and I'm gonna rename this shadow. Hit OK, and I'm gonna scale it way bigger than the comp size, vertical and horizontal, like that. And I'll shut off the eye for this. I'll grab the rectangle tool while selecting on the shadow layer. I'm gonna draw a mask like this, rotate it something like this, and also I'm gonna duplicate this mask, Control D to duplicate, double click on this mask, and I'm gonna move it down, rotate it this way. I'll do the same again, duplicate it here, reposition it somewhere like this. Okay, duplicate the mask 3 again, Control D, and you can also change the color so that you can see. And this time, oops, select the mask and select on these red lines, double click on that, rotate it vertically, and I'm going to scale it up so that it covers the entire composition. Okay, I'm gonna just randomly rotate it like this, duplicate one more time, double click here, move it over here, and maybe I'm gonna rotate it like this. All right, so once you are done with that, you can just turn on the shadows. Make sure you turn these 3D layers and hit F to feather this. And I'm gonna feather the mask, select all the mask, feather this 50. That's a little too much, maybe 30. All right, let's put that for now. And I'll go and change this blending mode to soft light. And if you want, you can lower the opacity, slide a touch, keep it like that. So right away, you can see some depth in the shot, right? So that makes it very nice. Okay, so let's move the position of the shadow layer towards the camera and maybe even scale it down. So let's just say hit P on the keyboard. Let's just give it to a -1000, okay? And I'm gonna scale it down. Okay, let's just introduce the magnifying glass, which is a PNG file. We'll just drag and drop it and make this a 3D layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the position of this to a -500 and scale it down to, I don't know, maybe a 30%. Maybe, yeah, 30% should be fine. And I'm going to select this pen behind tool and move this anchor point somewhere around roughly at the center of this magnifying glass. Okay, all right, let's go and grab the ellipse tool. Without selecting any layers, we want this to be fill and no stroke. Hold down shift and draw a circle, make this a 3D layer, and I'm going to position this shape layer exactly at the position of this, okay, of the magnifying glass layer. So to do that, hold down shift and pick, whip, and parent it to the layer. So you have that at the exact same position. And all you have to do is scale it up. You know, you can reposition it. All right, so once you are there, I'll duplicate this shape layer, turn off the bottom layer, and rename this effects. So this is going to be the layer where we're going to apply all the magnifying glass. All right, so before that, we'll just add some text, and I'm going to place it somewhere around here. So once you have that in place, let's go back to this layer. So just turn this on and move this text just above the stock image, and I'm going to move this shadow layer on top of everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this shape layer into an adjustment layer by clicking on this little icon. So that lets me create an adjustment layer, and I'm going to apply some effects onto this. So let's go ahead and apply magnify. First of all, I'm going to create a new null object. Make this a 3D layer. Move it to the center of the magnifying glass roughly. I'm going to rename this magnifying glass controller. Parent the magnifying glass and the shape layer to the null object so that whenever you move the null object, it follows. Okay, that's the intention. Just go back to the FX layer, which is the adjustment layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link the center to the position of the controller. So hit P on the magnifying glass controller, go to the FX. I'm going to alt click on this center, alt, and click on the stopwatch. You can just pick with this and position, point it to the magnifying glass controller. So let's collapse this, and I'm going to size it up, and I'm going to set this magnification to 200, should be fine as of now. And we'll come back to that later on. I'll also add another effect, which is bulge. And I'll do the same for this. I'll alt click on this bulge center, alt click, and you can just pick with this and position it to the, where is it? The position of the magnifying glass controller, null object. And go to the bulge, and you can see the little circle here. We're gonna increase that by increasing the horizontal radius to touch the edge of this, and the vertical radius. Let's also just add some texture on the glass. So I'm gonna drag and drop this texture just below the shadow layer. Is make this a 3D layer. Place this to the exact position of this shape layer. Hold down Shift and pick with 2D shape layer so that it's exactly the same position. And I'll also track matte this to the shape layer so that you have that only inside that. Okay, and change this blending mode to darken color or whatever blending modes you like. You can just try soft light. I think soft light should be fine as of now. Let's put that for now. We're going to animate the magnifying glass first, and we're going to animate the camera and other effects. Okay, so I'm going to hit P on the keyboard, Shift and R, set a keyframe for the position and orientation, and move these keyframes to about 2 seconds. And at the first frame, I'm going to move this away from the scene somewhere here, and I'm going to move it down so it comes from the bottom, and set a keyframe for the orientation. And once I have it there, I can just add a slight rotation to the magnifying glass and reposition it anywhere I want, maybe a little bit on the top, somewhere around here. All right, that's really nice. So you can hit F9 for easy ease. And let's go to around 4 or 5 seconds and randomly move the magnifying glass so that you don't have a static frame. And you can also move the rotation. And at the last frame, you can just, do something like this. I'll also be adding one more expression to this. Before I do that, I'll select all the keyframes, go to the graph editor, and I'm going to move this graph like this and to this like this. Okay, I'm going to use this expression kit light that I've created if you are interested in this, and it's available on my Patreon page for my paid members, and that's also the way you can support what I do if you want to support. And let's go down here at the floating layer. I'm going to select that and select the position here, and I'm going to apply the expression. Okay, and right now if you see that, you have a very intense movement. I don't want that. I'll just go inside the expression here, and I can just change this amplitude to 2 so that we have a subtle movement. You can just create a new camera. Just create a null object, and make this null object a 3D, and rename this cam controller. Make sure you always rename the layers so that you're not confused. I'm gonna parent this camera to the camera controller, null object. And let's animate the camera real quick here. Right about here, Shift R. I'm gonna animate the rotation as well. Go to about 2 or 3 seconds. I'm gonna zoom it in here, and maybe I'm gonna rotate it a little bit. Let's just go. Maybe this is too fast. Maybe somewhere around here. It's going to go up, and I'm gonna move it back up. Copy the first keyframes and paste it at the last. That's all you have. Simple camera animation. F9 for easy ease. I'll just tweak the camera like this and like this. All right. So that's the simple camera animation that I have. I also duplicate this effect layer, Control D to duplicate, and I deleted the bulge on the second one. And what I also did was change this blending mode to screen overlay or soft light, depending on what you want. You can see some overlays here. And what I also did was I added blur, CC cross blur, maybe 50. Let's go ahead and create some depth of field here. Create an adjustment layer. I'll just rename DOF for depth of field. I'm gonna add a camera lens blur. I'm gonna crank it up to 20 or 25. And while selecting on the layer, click this ellipse tool twice. It creates a circle, a mask. And change this mask to subtract and double click on these lines and focus just the center area, something like this. You don't have to be super precise on this. Hit F on the keyboard, feather it around 120%, and you're good to go. Don't forget to turn on the motion blur for all the layers and for the composition as well. I hope you learned something from this tutorial. Make sure to check out the expression kit line from my Patreon page. This is Motion Designer, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.